Welcome to Peacekeeper Games YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. This is going to be my very first battle report. Very plain and simple, cutscene style. We're going to be playing the new Feast for Crows scenario. We have John with his Lannisters led by Tywin, and Heath with his Free Folk Horde led by the Weeper. So let's go ahead and take a look at the game mode. Here is the new Feast for Crows document. And then we'll go ahead and jump right into after terrain and deployment. Here comes John. Alright, we're playing Feast for Crows. On one side we have John with his Lannisters.
We got Warrior Sons with Tywin Commander, unit of Crossbows, no attachment, Cutthroats, no attachment, Mountainsmen, no attachment, and Knights, no attachment. NCUs, we have Pycelle and Cersei.
Ran by Heath.
Raiders, blank, Raiders, blank, Cave Dwellers with Rattleshirt, Raiders, blank, Cave Dwellers with Weeper, who's commander, Raiders, Harma and the Bannerman, Giant, Stir, and Mance.
We'll pause with the top down and talk about deployment, starting with John and his Lannisters. Here's how he's set up. He's looking good with taking those tokens with the Warrior Sons and Knights, holding on to him while he's in the corpse piles and pouncing on anyone who challenges him with his deadly units. Last game they played, John went up and smashed a giant in one hit with a Knight's charge. So Heath is hoping that won't happen again, but we shall see. On Heath's side, here's how he's set up. He's got those Raiders going to come in and try to block, maybe sacrifice some for the new token drops. With this new game mode, it could work out well with Raiders going in first and creating new corpse files. I think that's what Heath has in mind here, and we'll see how that plays out. He's got some nice combos with those attachments, and we'll see what happens here. First round, turn one.
Start of a friendly turn. Gonna make an enemy combat unit weakened.
So right out the gate, John comes in with weakened tokens from Tywin's Tactics cards. And this is going to continue all game long, starting with turn one here. He's going to activate Pycelle, and he's going to take the Tactics Zone. And you know what? Let's dish out two more weakened tokens. This is a trend you'll be seeing all game. We got the Raiders with Harma. His unit up next, he's going to activate, and then he's going to get a free maneuver to the Giant there with the Harma attachment. No reason to use the Bannerman right now. Who's sliding those guys right up. Next is Cersei. She's going to take this maneuver zone here, and he's going to influence Harma's unit and slide up Tywin's unit. Easy peasy round one movement shenanigans. Next up is the Giant, and let's go ahead and march up and grab that token. So that's what Heath will do here, and go ahead and establish position and token control. Next up, we got the Warrior Sons with Tywin activating. They're going to do the same, march up and snag the other token. So we have a kind of an equal play here on each side of the table. We'll see how this all shakes out shortly. Cave Dwellers and Rattleshirt are next. They're just going to maneuver up. Then we got the Cutthroats marching straight forward. Simple. Next up, we got Stir. He's going to grab the panic test zone, and what he's trying to do here is influence Stir to the Cutthroats, also give a -2 panic test because the corpse pile's over there, which could end up really bad for the Cutthroats since they have a really crappy defense. But John makes the panic test. We'll see what happens later. Crossbows are just going to move up, and then we're going to go over to the Raiders unit here, and they're going to do the same. Go ahead and move straight up. We're going to bounce over to the Knights of Casterly Rock on the other side of the table. They're going to actually attempt a charge here. Measuring, he's got the hindering, and he's thinking about it, and he's like, you know what, let's go for it. He wants that repeat of what happened last game. If he can roll 2 dice and not get disordered, he could wipe the Giant. But he rolls a 1 and doesn't make it in. Or is that a 2, perhaps? And then we're going to go into the Dwellers with the Weeper here, the Commander's unit, and he's just going to maneuver up, or it looks like a march, right behind the palisade. Mountainsmen are going to do the exact same thing, You know, it's funny in this game, these palisades were just really in the way of the action. I'm not sure if that hindered the free folk or helped them, but it was interesting to see their movement shenanigans around those palisades. Mance Raider's coming in with the attack, and he's going to target Rattleshirt, I believe, and go for a charge. Mance is influencing the Warrior Sons to put a token on him over there. And the charge doesn't make it, so he's coming up just short. And going to make a panic test here. So going for the panic test, he's going to go ahead and pass that, and then activate his last unit, the Raiders. They're just going to maneuver up, waiting for a corpse pile. That's the round. Here's the top-down view. This is our current positions. We got a Raider hanging back, hoping for corpse piles. We got the Giant up. We got Tywin's unit up. We'll see how things shake out here. It's looking like both sides are kind of doing what they want. And yeah, let's see what happens. Of course, round 2 is going to start off with some more Tywin cards. Lannister Intimidation is going to remove that weakened token from the Giant and prevent him from having Mighty Swing. First activation, we have Stir. He's going to go and fly on the attack zone here for those Rattleshirt Dwellers. And of course, make it in the charge. Heath this game had so many disordered charges it wasn't even funny, but this one was fine. And let's see how many hits he gets here. I believe John has a card, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, there's Stir attached. Oh, he does play an attack card. And then so does the Lannister side. So we have some bonuses. And then we have the Tywin card that gives auto wounds for rolling ones. What do we got here? We got 7. 7 hits coming in. And John's going to roll defense. Nope. We're going to take a weakened token first. That's right. There's those 1s for those wounds. And because he spent the token, there'll be extra wounds. He only had 1 failed save there. And then he'll roll the D3 for Stir. There's extra wounds for that. And then the panic check. It's going to remove some more. And over to Cersei. Cersei's going to grab the wealth zone and heal him back up. She's influencing the far Raider unit with the Warrior Sons there. Giant's turn. Coming in for a charge, and the reason why is so that the Knights don't get to. So he's going to tie him up here. It is disordered. He doesn't care. Mighty Swing. Hits 1 hit, and I believe he blocks it. If that's right. So the bounces back with Supremacy. And he takes the activation token. No wound. Pycelle's coming in. Crown Zap. Weakened token. He's zapping the Cersei Raider unit up there with the Warrior Sons. So here comes Heath with the roll. Looks like a 7 minus 4 plus fealty to the crown. And the Cutthroats are fully healed. Over to the Raiders. They're going to go ahead and make a hindering charge and get in fine. Swinging for attack dice here. Hitting on 4s up. Looks like 4 hits. 2 wounds. Go ahead and take 2 and the panic test. He's going to pass and gain a faith token. Lannister Supremacy, because Tywin's in the unit. And that's 7, I believe. So some more wounds are lost because it's a total of -3. So 4 more leave. And the crossbowmen up are next. And they're going to go ahead and shoot into Rattleshirt's unit. 7 dice, 3 up sundering. He's getting 6 here. I believe he's looking for 6s. Doesn't look like many. Looks like he passed 3 actually. Re-rolled. So he's going to take 4 wounds, it looks like. Panic test afterwards. He's fine, and their Cutthroats are fine from the ranged attack. Raiders are up next. They're going to charge in. And disordered. So there's, I think, number 2 or 3. I think that's 2 for Heath so far. It's going to keep coming. And he's going to go ahead and swing. I believe he's got gang up. Hitting on 3s. No rerolls though. Defense saves. Taking 4 wounds. And the panic. Looks like 3 more wounds from the panic. Cutthroats are next. Swinging back into Rattleshirt. Vulnerable token, because Rattleshirt hasn't activated yet. Taking wounds and panic test. 7. It's all good. Rattleshirt's going to fire right back. He's going to play Group Assault with a counterplot. Rolls a 2 and another 2. Counterplot fails with 2 dice. Crazy. Exciting times for Heath. He's going to try to get some pain on these cutthroats here, and I believe he does so successfully. Let's see what happens. He's deciding on the Cave Dweller's abilities at this point. What's best. So he's going to go ahead and get 3 hits in. Weaken token. 2 hits in. Defense 3 hits in. Sorry, defense rolls. And they're out. Well done. Victory point for Heath. Corpse pile for John though, and this is a biggie. The plan was to get those corpse piles on the free folk side, so by gaining a point and taking care of the cutthroats, it actually backfires, and we'll see where the corpse pile is here in a second. When the Mountainsmen activate, they're going to maneuver back up and hop right on it. So this did not work out well, even though he gained a point for killing the cutthroats. The original plan for the Weeper and that Raider unit to sit on points is not working out. But we'll see what happens. Maybe he can bounce back here. We got good position by the Lannisters with those Warrior Sons holding on. Now the Mountainsmen are far away. And of course those Knights are contesting. We have Harma's unit. He's going to charge in. And she's, I believe she's doing the Bannerman ability. And she also did Harma's ability, which she wasn't supposed to, because it's only for marching and maneuvering. Which is, it's a new box set. I believe this mistake happens once or twice again. So Supremacy takes care of some in return before they're done. So there's the maneuver by the Weeper, which was not supposed to happen, but that's alright. Moving on, we have the Warriors, Sons, and Tywin coming in. And this is pretty hilarious here because John's thinking, okay, I don't want to give him a corpse pile, but he wants to turn to face the other unit, so let's get rid of him. So he rolls, gets a couple hits, boom, both save, no panic test. The unit survives with 1 model left. Good times. Mance is up, and he's grabbing the maneuver zone to push that Weeper unit up to try to challenge those Mountainsmen. Plan was to get both tokens on his side, but since that didn't work out, he's got to go challenge. Let's see if this plan comes to fruition and how he does. There's a maneuver. Nice and close. Ready for a charge. Knights are up. They're going to go ahead and back up because they're pretty useless if they're not on the token already. Engage. So back up. Get ready for a charge. And he's just deciding exactly how far he wants to be away. Next, we're going to roll over to Heath with his Cave Dweller Savages and the Weeper and go ahead and charge in. He rolled a 1. That's disordered charge number 3. And he's going to go ahead and see how his dice play out with the attack. Here's his roll. He's got 4-5 initially. Rerolling for weakened. 2 hits. 2 saves with the Mountainsmen. Looks like 1 failed, and then a big failed panic test on that. That was a big concern there on John's point of view. That panic test hurt. Raiders are just going to shimmy, waiting for corpse piles. And then we're going to have Stir leave the unit here at the end of the round. He's got 3 hits, going for saves. And this is how he gets his corpse pile. It's a Dweller unit, I believe, so he does get a victory point anyways. And then here comes the corpse pile placement, which is what these Raiders were waiting for. Very interesting game mode. A lot to different type of thinking when you have this placing new tokens throughout the game strategy going on here. So he had it lined up pretty good in the beginning of the game, but with that cutthroat death early, kind of ruined his plans. But he's got one token now on his side, and we'll see if he can catch up. This is a correction. Rattleshirt was supposed to do 2 extra wounds from that failed panic test, so Mountainsmen are down to 1 model. And here's a snapshot of the board at this point, end of round 2, and there's that new corpse pile by that Raider unit, which he'll bounce on shortly. Score is 2-3 in favor of the Lannisters. Top of round 3, John has first, and he'll kick things off with Pycelle. Pycelle is going to activate, and he's going to grab the Wealth Zone, replace some models to the Mountainsmen. Hopefully they'll survive and weaken the Weeper unit. Stir's going to come in with the Attack Zone. Weeper's unit's going to swing with Stir attached. Looks like he's getting 4 hits in, plus the Stir wounds. We have Wealth of the Rock there. So auto hits, and then he's got the auto wounds, and at this point John didn't realize that those wounds are tied to the attack, so he does still have to make a panic test even though he blocked all the hits. The panic test, unfortunately, is going to take care of those Mountainsmen. A Lannister pays his debts, comes flying in along with the Surge Forth for the Weeper unit to snag that token. Pays his debt's going to put the tokens on the Weeper's unit, panicked and vulnerable. And then John's going to go dig in the discard pile since he holds the zone and bring up his counterplot that had failed earlier. John's going to return the favor with some Knights of Casterly Rock, and they're going to turn with their free maneuver and come slam into the Weeper. Now he's turning here to avoid the little niche of corpse pile there, and he gets the regular charge dice, so this is going to hurt. So he's going to come in, re-roll. I believe he's got 9 hits coming in with Sundering. Not looking good for the Weeper. He needs 6s. He's got the vulnerable token on him. I believe he's going to spend it. Yep. Re-rolling. All 9 hits. So he's going to mark that there. Then he's going to take his panic test. And he's got a 6 and a 2. He's got the panic token, so he's re-rolling. Nails the 6 again, so he's good. He's got 3 wounds left. Raiders are up. They're going to charge into the crossbows. That way the crossbows cannot make a ranged attack. Rolling their dice, hitting on 4s. We got 5 saves. 1 wound? 2 wounds. Nice blocks from the crossbows there. Panic test. Looking good. 1 more wound. Cersei's going to activate and snag the Crown Zone. She's going to influence the Weeper's unit, but John's going to go zap the far Raider unit there with the Warrior Sons, and they're going to get zapped. No points, but gets rid of them. Mance is up, snagging the Maneuver Zone. Maneuver and Harm's unit closer to the Knights for a charge in the future. And it looks like influencing the Knights. Warrior Sons and Tywin, they're just going to shimmy and face. Next up we got Harma's unit flying in with the charge. And I believe this is a sigh of relief with this charge. It's not disordered. Correct. Alright. He's going to get the correct alignment there at 50%. Going to come in with his attack dice. He has the so the Harma's unit is in with the Raiders, and he's activating the Bannerman, giving him Vicious and his highest attack die value for the attack roll here. And he's got 2, 4, 6 hits. Only 1 wound with 6 hits. And then the panic test at -4. So that's going to hurt. And then the 3 wounds from the Bannerman. Here come the crossbows with a melee attack against the Raiders. We're laughing at this since they're just as good as Raiders with melee. And we got some hits, we got some saves. What's going to happen here? We got 2 wounds and a panic test. Panic test is at a 7, so 2 more fail. Raiders are going to go snag that token as planned. Last activation is the Weeper Savages, and if you're wondering why he put Cersei on these guys, it's because John was predicting the activation in the future, and he had a paid mutiny in his hand, so they're going to go ahead and activate, and here comes the paid mutiny. He controls the bag, so it's a -2, -4, -5 altogether. And if he fails, he's going to do straight 3 wounds since they control the bag, and he fails. So instead of D3, it's auto 3, and that's the unit. Token passes, and a point for John. That was a real bummer for Heath, and things aren't quite working out how he planned. Here's a still shot for the end of round 3. Heath will have the top of the next round, but as you can see, the Giant's sitting on a token, so is Tywin, and the Knights are holding the other. It's going to be an uphill battle to try to catch back up. John's got 7, Heath's got 5, and Tywin's scoring 2 points every time. Heath is going to kick things off with Manson, grab the maneuver zone, and slap down the Endless Horde, which is counterplotted and successful, which is another real bummer. 2 bad plays in a row. Just sometimes the dice aren't with you there. But John, fantastic play with that paid mutiny earlier, and this counterplot is exactly what he needed. So he's going to do a retreat here with Harma, I believe. He's going to go to the side because that palisade's in the way, and just gear up for another charge. Of course, John's going to pivot to face, and Mance is going to pop back on those Knights for another token and his influence. John's going to respond with, you guessed it, Pycelle. Pycelle's going to do his thing with the weekend token while he goes ahead and snags the wealth zone. So removing a token from those Knights, healing them up, weakening a unit. Harm is coming in with a charge right in the front of the Knights there. Heath rolling to hit, getting his rerolls. John's going to respond with his saves. Panic test. Looks good. Taking wounds. Actually, it's probably not good because of Vicious. We'll see if he takes D3 here. But this is actually the spot where he uses Harma's ability and shouldn't have. Because here comes the Giant with the free maneuver from Harma, which shouldn't have taken place. Next up is Cersei from John. She's going to go ahead and snag the free attack zone with the Knights and influence Harma's unit, which is a fantastic play here. Since he had dropped a token, he needs to get rid of her to get that surge forth and claim it again before the Giant comes in. So he only does 2. Not the best roll. Rolling for saves here from Heath. I think that was 2 wounds, and now we got Hear Me Roar, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -6 to the unit, I believe. And that's going to wipe them. And that'll let the Knights reclaim that token. Stir incoming. He's going to do a desperate crown zap to the Knights to try to get him to drop it again. Here comes a -1 and -2 from the corpse pile. And he's safe. No dropping that token right now. John said go ahead and Lannister Supremacy Stir. Stir is going to attach to the Giant. And then Tywin's going to go and charge in. He is disordered, but he gets to stay on the corpse pile. So why not? And this was actually a mistake here. He didn't need to. And I'll point this out later, but he's going to go ahead and swing. We got 6 hits here. Going for 6 saves. I think it's just 1 save actually successful with the panic test. And he's got 2 wounds left. Something happened to my video here, but they swing at Warrior Sons. Panic check passes. Supremacy takes out 1 more model. And this is the one that was engaged with the crossbows as well. Next up is the Knights, and they're going to just scoot back to avoid that Giant. And as you can see from the Giant's point of view, it ain't going to happen. So he's just going to back up and sit on that token. And this is what I was leading to with the mistakes. So now Tywin is kind of in reaching distance. If that Raider unit pivots and charges, they can probably make that contact with the OK roll. And instead he could have went away from the Raider unit to solidify those 2 points. But now there's a chance that these Raiders that are free can smack those warrior sons, but instead the giant goes, so now the crossbows can go. And the crossbows are going to activate and take care of this last remaining wound here, which frees up Tywin's unit to turn and face, and the crossbowmen to surge forth. Now the raiders are going to do a last desperate attempt to charge in, and they can't make it. And that's game. Jon and Tywin Lannister come out victorious 10-7. So it didn't quite work out for Heath and his Weeper-led free folk, but I think he had a good plan and got a little kill hungry there when he took out those cutthroats. And the plan with the Endless Horde probably would have at least helped, maybe worked, to bring in another unit and help out with those knights. But he also had a chance there at the end if he would have charged first instead of maneuvering his giant. But, you know, simple mistakes. When you look back on games, it's like, oh, one little thing can go wrong, and that can throw the whole game, which is why I love it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you liked my first try at this type of battle report, and subscribe and like and stay tuned for more as I get better and better and polish them up. Thanks again.